Hey guys, it's John of OpenLove101.com, the show where we talk about consensual non-monogamy, relationships, and everything in between. I'm here today with my wife, Jackie. Jackie, how's it going, babe?
It's going great.
Good.
Super excited to be here today. Can't wait to get started.
Before we get to that, though, I would like to introduce our sponsor, Hustler Hollywood. It's an amazing store. Jack and I were in there this past weekend. They have toys, accessories, apparel, anything you need. Maybe we've got a theme coming up at Colette and you want something a little bit special. That's the place to go. And the amazing thing is they have stores in each of our locations where we have Colette, New Orleans, Dallas, Houston, Austin, and San Antonio. Be sure and check them out if you're in town. If you're not, you can always go online and purchase your products on there. We really want to thank Hustler Hollywood for being a part of our show. Thank you very much. And now to our question.
So the question is, we just had our first big fight since opening up our relationship, and it shook us more than we expected. How do you come back stronger after a moment like that and know if the relationship is right for you?
Okay. And so back to the question of the day is from one of our viewers, and they've just had a big fight, and it really shook them to the core. And they're wanting some advice from us or maybe some experience from us about how to overcome that, how to get through an experience like that, and whether or not they are, if the lifestyle is really for them. That's a big question that comes up with people when they have a fight that's related to their consensual non-monogamous relationship. They can really doubt whether that's the way they want to go. And, the thing is, it doesn't matter what kind of relationship model you are in. I don't know any couple that hasn't had some kind of a tiff here and there. And so to blame it on the lifestyle, now it could be something related to consensual non-monogamy, of course. But the key of it is, and from what I've experienced, is to be able to, once you get that, to be able to communicate your way through it, to really isolate what the issue was. If you're having a fight with your partner, probably one of you is in some kind of, one or both of you are in some kind of fear, especially when you're trying something new. And to be able to, at a calm level, really discuss and get to the core of those fears, that's going to be the first step in trying to navigate your way through the fight that you're having. And to be able to understand or, realize whether this type of relationship model is for you or not.
I completely agree with that. It's interesting how we can take a specific issue and we can not blow it out of proportion, but we won't give it the same kind of empathy that we would something else. I mean, you and I can get in an argument about money, for instance, but neither one of us are going to stop making money because we're having an argument about money. It's kind of a signal to both of us that maybe there's something going on that we need to review. It's an opportunity to work together. Here's an issue. How do we solve it together? Instead of pushing against each other, we pull together in order to find a solution. And this is another one of those instances where we can put that practice into play.
Mm-hmm.
And you hit it right on the head. When you think of a fight, you think of people in their corners, or they come out and they're ready to go. I mean, the whole aim is to make some kind of contact. You got to have a referee there because, if you don't, maybe somebody's going to do kind of a below the belt kind of hit. And so you think of something very confrontational. And so if you've been in a situation and you end up in fear, it's going to trigger that kind of fight or flight response.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to get farther apart from each other instead of closer when that happens. And as difficult as it can be, the one thing that you need to do is to get closer together. And so if you remember going in, we're going into this together. We're going to work as a team. And then if something happens, at least you'll be able to say, okay, so we had this situation. It got out of control for whatever reason, or it triggered somebody's fears, or it triggered something that created anxiety. Let's talk about what that is and how do we work together to find a solution. And it's practice. Because like you said, it's with anything. You're going to have difficulty with your partner no matter what you're talking about. You know, whether it's a lifestyle choice, whether it's a relationship choice, whether it's changing jobs, whether it's how are we going to raise our kids, whether it's what religion are we going to, embrace, how are we going to spend holidays. I mean, you think about the number of issues that come up on a daily basis that could end up in a fight, but we work through those. To put relationship issues in a separate category and saying this is much more heightened than anything else can almost create an atmosphere where people are going to be more hesitant. They're going to be in more fear because there's more resting on those decisions, and it doesn't really have to be. But, I get it. It's a learning process. If you're used to one relationship model over another and you decide to embark on something different, I know even just for me in personal experience, I've had that happen. Where I said I was okay with something and I was, but then I got in there, but my body or my brain was like, ooh, what's happening? Because I didn't have anything to relate it to. So it felt strange. And so, of course, if something feels strange, sometimes we're going to identify that as a negative instead of a positive. And so, we've had our share of issues that we've had to kind of baby step our way through, to get to the other side. The interesting thing that can happen as a result of that is it will literally bring you closer if you open yourself up to that opportunity.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And another important thing about maybe looking at, because we're sitting here, we see the question, I don't really know what they're fighting about. I mean,
yeah, and it doesn't really matter, but yeah.
Because normally it's about, okay, maybe they had boundary sets, someone
Yeah.
pushed the envelope on the boundaries.
Yeah.
Some, like you just described, you get into the situation, the fear sets in. It's like, oh my God.
My body's reacting differently than what I thought my brain was going to do.
Yeah, or I'm thinking, man, that guy is really kissing you like in an amazing way. Is she going to leave me? Those kind of thoughts people have in the moment, and then they end up fighting about it. Like, why did you let that guy kiss you? So it could be something like that. The key after the fact is to really look at the role you played in the fight. Like, were you angry because you're in so much fear? Did we agree not to have kissing and I allowed it to happen? And I really have to look at myself there and maybe apologize or reestablish our boundaries until both people are more comfortable with the boundary that's set. You mentioned stepping back and taking baby steps, and that's really important. Sometimes I think when these issues crop up that cause us to battle with each other, we can say, okay, let's move our boundaries back a little bit and take it a little more slowly. Because we both agree we loved what we were doing, we had a great time until this thing happens, so let's maybe not go down that path again and see if we feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
And if you do these things in a loving way, it does bring you so much closer because you're like a team, when you're in there and you're like a team together and working forward to try and make something happen and have a great time doing it. It should, ultimately, I know it can be tense at some moments, but that's not the purpose of it, of being with a partner at all. It's about enjoying life together. And so you and I really try and focus on that aspect of things. Like, how can we have a good time together, no matter what we're doing?
Right.
And in the times where we have a disagreement, we try and make that, not minimize it, but shorten the length of time that we have a problem with each other and get back into having fun.
One of the things that I've learned is let's get to the point of it. Let's be succinct in what it is that we're doing, because we all know how we can drag fights out with our fear. We just want to make it go on and on and on to get our point across, instead of, here's the issue, this is what was bothering me, this is how I see it resolving itself. Let's get your input. Okay, now where do those things align and where are they different? And then how do we work towards getting something where everybody feels like they've been heard, that they've been seen, that they've been listened to, and that they've been respected.
Yeah.
And that's really ultimately, those are the same things that you would use no matter what the issue is, right? Because we've all been in situations where something drags on, and because it drags on, because the fight drags on, you lose sight of what the actual issue is. And the next thing you know, you're fighting about something that somebody did, 10 years ago or 6 months ago, or something completely different. So, I don't want to say, oh, you've got this issue that you get to climb the mountain together and solve, but really it is an opportunity to kind of put some of those steps that you've learned into play, because John and I have said this a gabillion times. One of the great things about our relationship model is it really pushes you and your partner to be close in a wide spectrum of things. This isn't just, oh, we're going to get to go do this thing, or we're going to get to go have a bunch of sex with a whole bunch of people, or, that stigma around what it is that we do with our relationship model. But it's really about creating an atmosphere where we're safe with each other, where we get to challenge each other, where we get to bravo each other when we've grown in self-esteem or self-worth, or that we're able to say yes or no in a way that increases our worth to ourselves and to the relationship, and to really foster a great, strong foundation with each other. So, I hope this couple doesn't just take that one fight and throw in the towel and say, this isn't for us. That they understand that when you try something new, there is going to be change. There is going to be differences. There is going to be moments of hesitation. But those are things that you can work together with and kind of travel that virgin path together to make it your own.
Yeah, it's great. And I love getting these questions from our viewers. It's so fun to answer. If you have a question out there having to do with the relationships or consensual non-monogamy, you can send us an email at openlove101.com. You can go to our YouTube channel and leave a comment there below our YouTube videos, or any of our, DM us at any of our social media channels. Be sure and sign up for our email list, and we'll notify you of this type of video coming up, or our podcasts, blogs that we may have, or where we might be. So check us out. See ya.
See ya.
Great job, Jackie. And if you like that video, please click the button below. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll give you plenty of more. Plenty of more? Kidding me?